indigent, don't have nothing, whatever the case may be, they're called inmate friendly. So they're constantly rolled up, constantly forced into excessive overtime, just all kinds of shit.
So for those of you that are just joining, and thank you guys on Facebook and LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. I'm sorry that I was a few minutes late. I had some technical difficulties. We have James Probst on the phone calling in from his prison cell. He is the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. I see that your mom is watching, Bam. So if you want to say anything to her, she's watching. And Stephanie is on TikTok. She says, my son left from being a CO because he didn't like the way the other staff members treated inmates. Have you seen, or is that your experience with staff? Have you noticed that some of the ones that maybe are more empathetic and maybe care more about making sure policies are followed, have you noticed that they don't last as long?
Yeah, most definitely. And now that I've kind of become known all across the state of Texas, and everybody knows, who I am and what I do, and basically what I fought for, politically, legally, in the physical sense, being jumped on by the corrupt, all these things to be able to do the things that I do now. They trust me. And so a lot of COs actually come up to me and things for what I'm doing and kind of confide me in things like I've had officers tell me how they have nightmares after working in solitary confinement or restricted housing. If CJ was having to run inside the cell, to cut inmates down who's hanging from the fence, or who's cut their throats from ear to ear to make their bodies become. The walls are closing in on them. This is designed to break a person's will to live and keep them losing their mind back here. And these COs see this. They've seen so many suicides and mutilations and mistreatment, and they're being mistreated themselves in a lot of different ways. And Marci, that's part of my fight. There's been many inmates rise up and just advocate, for the prisoners. But part of my fight here is to advocate for these officers too, who do come in here, to do what they're supposed to do. And they're not part of the corruption, because if the culture and the mentality don't change, then nothing's going to change. And a lot of senior supervisors are stuck in this old prison mentality like a lot of inmates did, like I was, until I broke it. But the penitentiary will never, ever be the way that it used to be. And it's time to change our way of thinking and give it times.
I think that that's something we talk about a lot on my platform, is how prisons are harmful, not only for the people that are housed there, but for the people that work there as well. And I apologize for you all that maybe we're having some trouble hearing him. I moved the mic around, so I think it's better now. And you definitely have some folks tuned in that are here to talk to you and came specifically to tell you hello. Gemma Luna says to tell you hey. Randolph Adams is here. Anthony Pistello, Lori, and Lori, you're going to make me mispronounce your last name, but I think it might be Colliard. She says hello. Department of Corrections is here. You have a lot of support, Bam, and you guys that want to know Bam's full story, James' full story, make sure you order his book. You can find this on Amazon. You'll want to Google No Hostage Beyond This Point with his name, James Probst, and it pops, the Amazon link pops right up. And we're talking right now just kind of how some of the correctional staff that maybe, I talk a lot about the officers that caused me trouble while I was incarcerated. And James, I think I maybe leave out some of the officers that helped me that I was able to go to. And there were a few, and you're right. They don't last very long usually. And that's a shame. It's the culture of that institution.
A big part, well, a vital part of me being on the path that I'm on now actually came from COs who helped me from my past when I was caught up in this prison mentality. I lost all hope. I had a life sentence. I was extremely violent. I was up every day not caring if I lived or died. And I wanted people to know that, I've accepted that I'm going to die in prison, that I had no problem taking your life, and that's the way I live my life, But them knowing me then and knowing me now and seeing how I did total 360 and everything that I'm doing, fighting to change the culture and how now, when I was on Hughes unit, there was two ladies that took a chance on me. I'm not going to say exactly what they did, but they took a chance on me and believed in me when nobody else did. But they actually, I'm not going to say their name, they actually let me visit with someone who used to be a gang leader of the gang that I was in that was extreme violent and changed his life. And that's another thing, Marci. There's a lot of men down here that the state has threw our lives away and said that we're incapable of change, that has changed, and we're changing the culture down here. But they took me to the office and took me out of handcuffs and mind you, I've been in SEG 15 years. So when they take me out of handcuffs, I'm standing there and I don't know what to do. Like I don't have no handcuffs on. And it was crazy, man. But they let us hug and talk and all that stuff, and just that act right there, because they're taught not to take a chance on no one, because if you take a chance on them and they do something stupid, well, it's shame on you. But if you take a chance on them and they do something positive, well, it's still shame on you. So just don't take a chance on them. So that right there meant everything to me.
Yeah, that's huge, James. And there you have a lot of people listening to you right now. Chelsea says she can hear the smile on your face. And then people are just pointing out that we're human, whether we're incarcerated or not. And the people that I was incarcerated with, that's who got me through my time. And I don't know how I would have done it had I been housed the way that you have been housed for 15 years in a single man cell. So that was phenomenal. How do you communicate, and how do you do you make friends in solitary confinement? Tell us about that.
I do. And like I say, I kind of been all around the system, so that by now I pretty much know all across the system, staff and other inmates. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's breaking up a little, but we can hear you.
Yeah, and so, and like I was saying, for so long, I would have other inmates, especially younger inmates, come up to me and tell me that they've heard about me for years, like all the acts of violence and things that I committed, and that inspired them to join gangs and all these things. And when I would hear stuff like that would give me all the validation I needed. But as I grew older and I started realizing the vicious cycle that we're living in, throwing our lives away in prison and stuff like that, my mind began to change. And now I have a lot of inmates that come up to me and, they want to get involved in activism. They're interested in how they can help change the culture and things like that.
Changing the culture in there, that's like a huge task, right? And I often say that change needs to come from the top on down, but maybe you're onto something. Maybe it could come from the bottom on up. Can you imagine if the culture started, if we started changing our attitudes first? And that's not easy to do when you're being completely treated like an animal and spoken down to by staff, and the things that you have to endure in there. What do you tell young people that are new to the system or going into the system, looking at time? What is your advice for young men looking at the same faith that you have?
I ask them what do they want? What do they want in life? Because if they don't know, what they want in life, then I can't tell them. I can't tell a person who they are. Like, we all got to figure out who we are. And sometimes some of us take, the longer road to figuring that out. But for me, it's just one of those things where I'm straight up with them. I don't beat around the bush. If you want to join gangs, if you want to throw your life away in prison, and wither away in one of these solitary cells, and the only thing you're doing is hurting the people that really love you in the free world. But if that's what you want to do, then by all means do it. Be the baddest motherfucker at doing it. Stab as many people as you do, all this stupid shit, that whatever you think gives you that validation. And in the end, I promise you're going to be left with nothing but a life sentence, a bunch of war stories that no one gives a fuck about, and a bunch of deep hurt that you just can't undo. But if you want to be positive, if you want to be a better father, a brother, a man to your family, to your community, or whatever, and don't get caught up in that shit, man. It's simple. Come in here, do your time, focus on positive things, block the world around you out, the negativity, and go home to your family.
James, can you talk about how you can be, how can you be a brother and a son? And I don't think that you're a father, but for the fathers, how can you do that from inside solitary confinement? What are things that you can do for your family from inside there?
I think it's difficult. It's difficult because like back here they say that we're security risk, regardless if you're a confirmed STG or whatever the case may be. You're not allowed to have contact visits, and being able to hug your kids or your family or whatever, that's big right there. So having your people, especially if you're in a unit that's far from home, your people had to drive halfway across Texas just to be able to look through a glass, to see you through a glass and talk to you through a phone. I think the only thing you can do is try to give them your life experience, and just try to guide them and give them some mental support, and try to give them a little bit of guidance from your life experience. Because a lot of us who has made a career out of the life of crime and prison and stuff, we're treasures from what's knowledge, and we just have to give that to the younger generations and our kids or whatnot, and just be straight up with them. It's all we can do.
Do you think that it's possible to mentor someone in the free world from inside of a prison cell?
Yeah, it is, because I've done it before. And like a lot of people that's in the free world that might not have been down the same road that we've been down, but they might be, trotting down that road or thinking about going down that road. And for many of us who've already been there, we've been involved in all that. That they listen to us. I mean, and I guess you would listen to someone who's been there more than you would someone, as opposed to someone who hasn't been there and trying to tell you about a lifestyle that they really don't know nothing about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it can be done, and I think that we listen to people that have had our own experiences easier. We hear those words either. You can get a copy of James' book on Amazon. And if you Google "No Hostage Beyond This Point" with his name, the link pops right up. If somebody wanted to Google that and put the link in the chat, I would really appreciate it. I can't do it with the way that I've got this. I can't mess with my system here, but that's how to do it. And they said is a prime example of why we marched. My friend Destiny is watching on TikTok, and we had a march in San Antonio, a formerly incarcerated persons march, and we were marching for everything because of the unjust system, because of long-term solitary confinement, because of criminalization of substance misuse disorders and mental health issues, all of these things. And she said, you're a prime example of why we were marching. We were fighting for you, James. What do you think about that?
It's humbling, to say the least. And you know, there's definitely been times, man, that, you know, like when I got jumped on and I was covered in blood. I had dried up blood all over my head and stuff. And I was they put me on high security at that time. And I was sleeping on the steel, no mattress, nothing. And high security, you got showers, no soap or nothing. And only thing I can do, my foot's broken, and the only thing I can do is just get up under this water and wash the blood off of me. And I'm thinking, man, why am I even doing this? You know? But hearing y'all say things like that and having y'all support, it pushes me and lets me know that, you know, because it's easy to get lost in this penitentiary and not realize that there is people who care and there is people who's fighting. And that, you know, the most unjust system that executes almost more people than all the states combined on death row, you know, the slave capital of all the other states with mass incarceration and just all these things, that it's gaining attention and everybody's seeing what's going on. So it keeps me resolute, and it means a lot.
I remember being in a cell like you and not anywhere close to 15 years, James. You know, the longest time I was in solitary confinement was like 2 months, but I remember that was enough, you know, that was enough. And I remember feeling like I was going to lose my mind. And so what are some of the things that you do to take care of your mental health while you're housed like that?
I've been back here so long now, so I've kind of found a way, I guess, to go through motions without emotion. I guess, like, I mean, there is days that I get down. I'm human. I mean, I feel loneliness. I get down. I feel overwhelmed sometimes, but I know that those are just negative feelings. You know, and it's just going to fill me with doubt and all these negative things that's going to hinder the progress of what I'm really trying to accomplish and do in my life. So I've kind of found a way to, like, just push it out and focus on positive things. I work out, I write, I read, I kind of journal. I do a bunch of journaling and things like that, just keeping my mind occupied.
You're getting mad respect from the people watching they're watching on Facebook, YouTube, on TikTok. I have Gemma Futrell is watching on YouTube, and she says that we could learn a lot from you. And I couldn't agree more. I think that you have an ability to change people's perspective across the country, but certainly in Texas.
And that's my whole goal here. And when I first started off, Marci, you would believe how many people laughed at me and called me crazy, told me, you know, they had all the reasons why I shouldn't do this, you know, XYZ, and just all these different things. And had I listened, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, you know. Sometimes when you want success, you gotta want it as bad as you want to be, and you gotta be a risk. You gotta be a risk taker. You gotta take risks, because if you don't, you'll never know what's on the other end. And so I did, and I'm where I'm at now, and that's my whole goal. Like I say, is change the culture and change the mentality to make prison a place that reduces recidivism, and it shouldn't be a place for torture or institutions of death and insanity. It should be a place where people come when they break the law or whatever, and they're rehabilitated and sent back, to society to be productive and not come back.
Very wise words from a young man who was incarcerated as a youth, who has spent the majority of his life in prison. I'm so impressed by you, and I tell you that often. I'm proud to call you my friend. I am proud to fight alongside you for change. I'm wondering about if you feel like there's a more powerful movement coming. Like I personally feel like we're on the cusp of something, and in the past 2 years we've been hearing more and more voices come forward, and we're seeing this movement even from behind prison walls. We're getting massive letters where people, I think, before feared talking about what was going on around them. Do you notice that? Do you think that there's a change? Do you feel that?
Yeah, there is. I think, like I say, I think a big part of it is that the old prison, as far as the inmate and the staff, it's aged out. Everybody has grown older. We've grown out. A lot of us grown out of our ways. But there's a lot of us that's still stuck in that mentality, and we're trying hard as we can to hold on to the old penitentiary. Subjecting people to the things that we went through when we first came to prison, because we got the mentality that, hey, I didn't get no pass when I came in, so you're not going to get no free pass. So I got to subject you to the things that I was subjected to. And I think that's the mentality of a lot of the senior supervisors and administration with these new officers, because in the last year, I've been on 4 or 5 different units because of my activism and them constantly shifting me from one place to another. And one thing I'm seeing is there's a lot of new officers that haven't been in the system, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And they're kind of stuck in the middle, not really knowing, what to do.
Yeah, I think that it's not just staff and administration that holds on to that culture. I think you've made a point in saying that also it's incarcerated folks that tend to hold on to that culture. And I think it's phenomenal that we're seeing people try to break that and try to, instead of getting the youngsters coming into the system, submerging them into that lifestyle, but trying to break them away from that and look at better things. So yeah, that's really, really incredible. I want to open it up to questions. If anybody, and if I've missed my moderators on TikTok, if I've missed any questions for James, please highlight them. We have him on the line for a few more minutes, and I want to make sure that he's addressing you, but you're certainly getting a lot of love, James. People are really encouraged by you. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. So I really appreciate you sharing some of your story with us.
Thanks, Marci. For anybody in your audience who wants to send me a direct message, all you have to do is register through Securus, and you can message me there. And there's a lot of things that I can't talk about on here that I'm working behind the scenes to do. I can't talk about right now, but I would love to collaborate with those of y'all, who want to be a part of this change in any and every way that I can. Maybe even if it's just sharing ideals and thoughts, whatever.
So James would and we did get a question asking if you would like them to write. And so Randolph,
1 minute left.
And it's up to you if you want to call back, James. We could go for about 15 more minutes before my next appointment, and it's absolutely up to you when it hangs up if we call back. But
all right, I'm gonna call back so I can take some questions from your audience and speak with everyone.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you. We're talking with James Probst today, and he is the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. James was incarcerated as a youth. He grew up with generational addiction and got on a path that led him to incarceration. He ended up facing the death penalty at 18 years old. At 21 years old, when his case was finally settled, he ended up getting life without the possibility of parole. He has been in solitary confinement for 15 years. He's been incarcerated for 16 years, in solitary confinement for 15 years. So that's who we're talking to today. He authored this book. If you want his whole story, and he goes into detail about his entire story, make sure and order his book. It's priced for us to read. It's not priced for anybody to get rich off of. 100% of the proceeds from this book go towards his advocacy work. He does have, is part of an organization in the free world that does advocacy work. So, Michelle, this is a great question. Why has he been in solitary confinement for so long? And in Texas, they house people in solitary confinement for long term. They house men with STGs, which I don't remember what that stands for, but it's gang affiliation. If you have that code on you, you get housed in solitary confinement, period. If you're there for 30 years, you're in solitary confinement for 30 years, regardless of your behavior on the unit, regardless of all of that. I need to have a drink. So, yeah, Texas actually houses more people in solitary confinement for 3 years or more than every other state plus the federal government combined. You combined all of their numbers and put them up against Texas. Texas has more. He's calling back. It's not ringing on my tablet. Let me see if I can get it to ring. I wonder why. Oh, and it's not ringing here. He's going to try again, I'm sure. He's probably wondering what the heck, but it won't let me answer on the phone or it'll get us off of the live. We're going to try one more. If any techies out there wanting to know why. And I have a little bit of a lag. Maybe it lagged because he was calling. Man, I really hope it works. I really hope it works. So let's see. Yeah, it's lagging because he's trying. He is trying to call back, guys. I'm going to let this one go and see if he calls again and it picks up, because if I don't get it on my tablet, we can't talk. So we'll try again. Security Threat Group. Thank you. STG, Security Threat Group. I appreciate that. And Randolph Adams, yes, will you message me about those jobs? And if you have, will you message me again? And I apologize. Yes, we know lots of people, formerly incarcerated folks, that are looking for work. Lexi, let's ask him about Kindle. I don't know anything about how that works, but it would be great. And I don't know if the audio would work. I hope he tries to call back, y'all. I don't know why it let me answer the first time and it didn't let me answer the second time. Maybe because I'm going to turn it off of silent mode. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but we'll definitely ask. We'll definitely ask him. So we're talking to the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point, James Probst. James Probst was an active gang member and someone that had completely submerged themselves into the violent lifestyle that can happen inside of men's prisons. And he has turned that around. He has turned his heart, his mind, and his life around, and is now written a book in an effort to, there it is. It did show up on my tablet, y'all.
Hello, this is a free call from James Edward Probst. An inmate at this call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
James, thank you so much for calling back. I'm sorry I didn't answer the first one. It wasn't working right for me, but it is now.
Awesome. I figured it was probably the phone on mine.
No, it was me. It was me. I appreciate you so much. I want to point out for those of you that caught when James called me, how it says this is a free phone call. That only meant that it's free for me. What that meant was someone put money on James' phone account and they paid. Those phone calls in Texas are far free. There are some states that have made it where incarcerated folks do have free phone calls. Texas is absolutely none of them. It's not one of them. They are getting lots of money off of trying to keep families united and incarcerated people in touch with the free world. So we have a question about the book. They're asking, will you ever consider putting it on Kindle? Do we know any? I don't know anything about that. Do you?
No, that's where I published it from. Was Kindle on Amazon. Kindle's a publishing company. That's where I published it at, through Amazon.
So Lexi, tell me if I think that they're looking for an audio version, but I definitely could be wrong.
I thought about doing that, and it's definitely something that I want to do in the near future. I would just have to look into it and get some help on doing that and see how that, because I know a lot of people, if I have a busy life or whatever, and would rather listen to it while they're driving down the street or whatever the case may be, but actually reading it through a book.
Right. Wicked DK is watching. She said that they have not done an Audible, so it's not available now, but maybe in the future. But you can't access it on the Kindle site, nor read them on the tablet. You have to order the paperback copy. So good question, Lexi. I appreciate you. And they're talking about I want my moderators to go back through the questions, and I'll try to look down here on Facebook and YouTube because we've been getting them, and they get carried away. Let's see, and I apologize for that. Amber says, "Hi James, thanks so much. Love, much love from out here. Thank you for sharing your story." And they want to order this, and you can't order it from my page, but I don't know why. I'll just put it on my link tree. So you need to give me an hour, and I'll add the link to my link tree.
If they Google my name, like if they just Google my name, my book's one of the things that pops up on Google up under my name.
Okay, so
and all they would have to do is click on it and take them straight to the link.
So Google under James Probst's name. I'll also add the link in my link tree so you can access it from my site and my platforms as well. But if you Google his name, he says the link pops up. They're wondering why you were in solitary confinement for so long. And I was talking a little bit about the STG. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I go all the way back to the roots of it in my book, and basically, I'm a confirmed member of a Texas prison gang, and basically the Texas prison gang that I'm a confirmed member of, and the rest of the Texas prison gangs that that formed in Texas in the early 1980s was literally formed by the administration. It was facilitated by the administration themselves, because back then the wardens and administration would handpick inmates they called building tenders or turnkeys that stood in the hallways and opened and closed doors and stuff like that. They basically acted as staff members, but they also had an extra job. The reason why they were handpicked because they were a certain type of inmates, and if you pissed off the administration, they would send them building tenders down there to rape you, to beat you, to kill you, whatever. And so, in direct response to everyday prison life and that type of violence, that's when the gangs started forming. And the way that they seen it back then is that a white can't organize a black, or a black can't organize a Hispanic, but we can organize our own people, right, in a respectful manner. And so that's how all the gangs started, to protect each other against prison violence that the administration facilitated. By 1987, the building tenders was eradicated, and then came, the prison guards started their own gang called the Blue Bandana. So, in short, that in around 93, they started confirming the prison gang as security threat group, saying that we was and it wasn't when it really took it to the extreme. They started standing outside on the sidewalk, cell holes, schools, and red doors everywhere. If they thought that you were a member of one of the gangs, they were locking you in segregation for indefinitely. They were locking you in segregation, and you only had one way out, and that was to cooperate with the GIs, the gang intelligence, and you had to give up secret information about your gang. I mean, assuming you even had some, you might not even be a gang member. You might have got confirmed because of a tattoo or an address that's found in your body, and you're not even a gang member. And that puts a target on your back. So of course, no one was really going down there and cooperating with that shit, because now you're labeled as a snitch.
Right. That's one thing. I don't know how they could expect you to renounce or to tell on people that you live with. And that's what that happens even in women's prisons. Now, the threat of direct violence isn't as strong, but I remember going in and saying, how can you ask me to write a statement against someone I sleep next to? Like that's not happening. We have another question. Do you know how much the phone calls are right now?
Yeah, they're 6 cents per minute, and I think it's like if it's an out of state number or something like that. There's a
So we're not sure about
6 cents per minute.
6 cents a minute for in-state for sure. And if someone wanted to put money on Bam's books to support him for his phone calls, what's the best way? Because they can't send money directly to you. Would that be like through your mom?
I can't. I'm on CB code from getting called with cell phones where I was recording some of the mistreatments and bad conditions. So I can't have no electronic transfers of money for 5 years, and the only way I can get money is through money order, which had to be sent straight to Huntsville. And I've had several different money orders sent there, and 2 months ago, and they still haven't put my money into my trust fund account. So as far as Securus, there's a number that you could call.
So
and
if you
put money
want
there.
to support James on his debit account, on his Securus account, message me and I'll get with his mom. She's my friend. She's on here now, and we'll figure that out. It's not easy to support an incarcerated Texan that's not directly related to you. They have made it almost impossible, but I promise we're find a way, make a way kind of people. So if you want to do that, let me know. Again, it says in your book you stated that you were in the Crip gang. Is that you didn't, right? Oh wait.
Yeah.
And how did you go about leaving that? And James, this is the last question, honey, because I have another obligation with my daughter. And so I need to, but I want to just talk about, how did you talked earlier in the live about getting to talk to a higher up in that gang. And how have they taken your change?
Well, that's just the thing, Marcy. Like I say, well, the Crip gang was a street gang, and I grew up in Houston, Texas, so, and we weren't really gangbangers in the 1990s and the early 2000s. We were told about what side of town you're from, if you're from the north side, the south side, what city you're from. That's what we're more about. You know, we didn't really start wearing colors and talking about Crips and Bloods and all that till the early 2000s. And when that whole culture started sweeping across Houston, me being on the east side, you know, where we took on predominantly, you know, the color of blue, we started hollering about we was Crips, and we just created that culture in our neighborhood. So we didn't really know what gangbanging was. We just kind of had an ideal of it and crafted it in our neighborhood. So I came to prison. Like I say, it's tribalistic down here, and when you come to prison, it's a whole other playing field. And whatever race you are, you're faced with a choice. You can get down with your people or not. And I don't know if y'all heard of the Thungo Blast, but the Thungo Blast is a Hispanic gang, and 95% male was a part of the street gang. And when they come to prison, they lay their flag down at the gate.
James, we're gonna have to do this again soon. You tell me when's a good time. If you're available next week, we'll do it again, because there's folks that want to hear more from you, and I want to offer this space for you. I am sorry that I have to get off already. But I just appreciate everything that you're doing. This is James Probst. He is the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. Google his name and order this book from Amazon, people. You will read his full story, and he tells it in a raw form. He just tells it exactly like it is. Thank you so much. I see you first day out, Andy. I see you guys. Thank you in the chat. Thank you for supporting the live. I see that you guys have been sharing it. I appreciate you all. James, any final words?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone. And anytime you're available to have me on here, and I thank all of y'all for y'all support.
We'll do it. We'll do it again in 3 or 4 days, James. I'll get with your mom and we'll figure out a good time. And sending big love to you and everyone that's housed there, not only in solitary confinement, but period. Just sending our love inside of those prison walls. And Debbie said that you and her are going to go live from your talk as well. Debbie, put that in the chat. Put the handle for your TikTok in the chat. Bam, it was a pleasure visiting with you, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you again. Thank y'all for tuning in. Debbie, what's that chat? I don't want to end it until I don't want to end the live until you put it on there. If you guys want to hear more from Bam, you can look on his mom's oh, I'm so silly. Click on her little face right there. She put me and him will be going live from our talk. Click on her little face right there and it says Bam Bam, or look up Bam Bam and that will take you to her profile. So you guys do that and go over there, follow his TikTok. On TikTok, he will be going live with his mom. BAM, BAM, 2 words. Come on in, Lauren, we're finished.